project we do that's been supported by Osiwa, for instance, most people had told us that if they hear that somebody has coronavirus, they won't go to the house. In short, a woman told us because they suspect that one of her relatives has coronavirus, right, they stop buying her granules. You get? So, but the state needs to, everything boils down to communication. The state needs to carry this message because the challenge we have is that people believe that most Nigerians watch television. That's not true. Most Nigerians do not even watch television. Most Nigerians do not even listen to radio. Most Nigerians don't even, some Nigerians are not even on social media. So you need to do in form of serious strategic communication. You need to understand their trusted medium of communicating in that community. And you need to understand their trusted person in that community. And you need to engage them to go to the community to seek this information for them to understand. So basically that's what needs to be done.
In other words, there's need to cascade the COVID-19 prevention strategy, which is being driven by the presidential task force.
Yes.
There's need to cascade it down
to local, not even state.
To the communities. Not even the state, to the communities. Because the spread of the disease has gone communal.
Yeah.
It's in the communities.
Yeah.
And I don't see how a presidential task force can drive that kind of communication strategy from Abuja.
They can.
So they can't.
They can.
They can?
They can.
Is it possible?
They can. What needs to be done is that you just
because if you just limit it to local governments alone, you are talking of 774 local governments.
There are.
If you limit it, if you then cascade it down further, you are talking of what? We are talking of over 8,000.
Okay, let me tell you. Let me use Edo for instance. Edo is about holding election.
Yes.
And I know that virtually all the wards in that state will have conversation about who to vote for, which candidate. In the federal level, we also have network and political parties who do that. So if the state, if the federal government wants to take conversation about communication, about COVID-19 down to the community, there are trusted and reliable civil society organizations. There are trusted and reliable media organizations. There are trusted and reliable community organizations that you get them and get the community members to lead the process. Get the traditional rulers, get the key agent to lead the process. Find a way to release the money to them and monitor what they do. It's that simple. It is not a rocket science. And why this is fundamental is that people need to believe that coronavirus, COVID-19 exists first before they even begin to take of preventive measures. For instance, if you come to Abuja, many people have stopped wearing masks, let alone communities.
That's
so
correct.
if
That's
you go
correct.
to Nara,
even in high density places, in large congregations, I mean, even in those states where campaigns for election are going on now, you see the campaigns. You don't see people wearing masks in such large gatherings.
Okay, now how do you begin?
Except the politicians,
yes,
the big ones who know the import of what COVID-19 is, and they're the ones.
Now, the problem is also an issue of trust. How do you now begin to convince Nigerians? You have closed school because of coronavirus. Right. You have said that there should be social distancing in churches. Now you are holding political rallies where are thousands of people. So there are issues of trust. And how do you begin to convince people that this is real? And when you yourself being the political elite who's supposed to drive the whole process of coronavirus observation and protocol, you are there breaching it. So it's a big challenge. And the government needs to sit down and rejig and change its strategy before the community and Nigerians will believe.
As part of also trying to correct the wrong narratives, if the people say because they are not seeing COVID-19 patients strapped on ICU beds with oxygen all over their faces and all of that, people being rushed, wheeled out of hospitals to one ICU and the other. If they say that they need to see all of those things before they believe, where then do we place the extreme, how did the PTF put it that time? The need to protect the identity of patients. How do we achieve all of that? Which is why the federal government does not even release names where people die, except if they are high-profile people and somehow through their families it gets to the public.
Now, that takes me back to the conversation about
because what the people want to be seen, therefore, is pictures of our treatment centers and all of that. Is that necessary?
That takes us back to the conversation of communication, still back to transparency and accountability, which has also led to people not believing. As we speak, there are a good number of people, even some medical doctors, go to people's homes to treat COVID-19, which is not supposed to be.
No, but under the new arrangement, there is some level now. I can't find the name that the Lagos State government called it. Community home-based treatment.
Before that
is now inculcated into the treatment protocol, at least in Lagos State, where people are asked to stay at home, particularly those who are asymptomatic. You stay at home, provided you have facilities to self-isolate, and members of your family don't have constant interaction with you. If you have such facilities at home, you are advised to stay at home. If you are asymptomatic, the government gives you the normal treatment regime. They give you the normal cocktail of drugs, and then we have doctors who then supervise them, either through telemedicine or telephone and all of that.
Now the question is, before that happened,
it's happening.
Before
it started
happening, don't forget that the chief of staff in this country died of coronavirus.
Yes.
Right. And at a point in time, until he died, even a day after his death, people didn't know where he was being treated. So it's a big issue. Right. So you now see that there is, when people have the conversation of protecting identity, I don't understand what they are talking about. We watch big footballers, coming out to say we've been affected with coronavirus. And in any case, how come?
Yeah, we also hear people announce their status.
How come
big people in government also announce their status?
How come governors come to say, I've been affected with coronavirus?
You want us to see how they go through the treatment procedure and all of that?
So those ones they don't want to announce. What's fishy? What's the problem? Which other citizens are more powerful than the governors and the president? So we must be. The conversation should be, if you recover, if you have coronavirus, for instance, coronavirus is not even a death. For instance, Nigerians many people have recovered. Yeah. So why are they making it look as if it's a one top secret? So the state needs to be because the conversation of the community person, Nigerians will tell you that we have not seen anybody, and we need to see to believe. In short, one electrician told me yesterday that...
So it's not enough that Governor so said he tested positive for coronavirus, and he started taking treatment, and then he got better, and he also announced that he's better.
Yeah.
A particular governor even said, while I was under treatment, this and this and this are the things I did. Shouldn't that be enough?
Don't forget that if you go to communities, they have this narrative that coronavirus is sickness for the rich.
It's sickness for Lagos and
for the
other
rich,
people.
yes. So you need to go extra mile to show,
design messages,
design messages to let these people understand that this coronavirus is real. A 14-year-old boy told me in Gidan Zakari, because I brought children to talk to them. A 14-year-old boy told me that people have been dying in this community before coronavirus. And since coronavirus even came, nobody has died. So why are they telling them about coronavirus? Why are they making life difficult for his father? Because he argued that the people who come from Kano and Niger to purchase his father's farm produce are not coming again. And he said they are making life difficult. So the clandestine activities, the move regarding how the monies are being spent, how the conversations are being made, do you understand? It's a thing that needs to be out. And that's why when people say Nigerians do not observe safety protocol, the question you ask yourself, the first safety protocol that was being observed, how sincere was Nigerian state? Don't also forget.
Which one is that?
The first 2 weeks, you know,
Okay.
the
first 2 weeks of lockdown.
Don't forget that during that lockdown, the Nigerian state made an announcement. And what was the announcement? That everybody who loads recharge card of 100 naira from 100 naira will be credited at least 2,000 or 10,000, 5,000 or 10,000 as coronavirus palliative.
I didn't hear that.
Check. In short, the minister of disaster management, right? At a point in time, she was saying that they have to, that the way they identify poor Nigerians are to find out those who load recharge card like 100 naira recharge card. Do you understand? It was an indices for, he says one of the indices to find out who are poor Nigerians. Agreed. But the question is, after that information, who has received palliative? And when they ask the government, can you show us who and who you've paid palliative? You said you did that, but you don't have record. There are so many NGOs who had written to them to say, show us how we spend COVID-19 palliative money, even the money donated. And if you don't have answers to this, what it does, that it sends a message of distrust to the citizens. And once you create an environment for the citizens for mistrust, they won't believe you. So that is why the government needs to do things in a different way.
All right. I'm sure you have been touching on aspects of the report that the research that your agency, that's the Media Advocacy West Africa Foundation, conducted. Yes. I'm sure you'll be touching on aspects of it. Lead us into this this research that you conducted. You said Nasarawa State was the focal point of your
12 communities.
12 communities in Nasarawa State.
Predominating, we can still call it Abuja, because you are talking about Maraba, you are talking about Kano.
What was responsible for the choice of Nasarawa State and those 12 communities in the first place? Has it got to do with population or what? We
were trying to look at densely populated area, particularly those that have common boundaries with Abuja. Because if you're saying that Abuja is safe, don't also forget that there are communities who have common boundary with Abuja, which majority of civil servants who even commute to come to Abuja. So if those places are not safe, Abuja is not as well safe. So you don't just sit in Abuja's city center to say we have secured Abuja. So that's why we decided to say, one, we have to look at densely populated area. Two, we need to talk to the poor. So
what were those communities? You mentioned Mararaba that time.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I know. Okay.
Gidan Zakara.
Okay.
One man
just go on. I just want to.
One man village.
Oh, okay. Those are highly populated.
Massacre. We even got down to Kefi.
Okay.
So those are in Kabai.
I know that these are highly
Kabai,
highly populated places, and the 90% of the people who live in those communities actually work in Abuja. Yes. Okay. So what did you find out, or what's the focus of this?
The focus,
what were you trying to establish?
No, we're trying to look at the economic impact of coronavirus. And we're also looking at the human rights angle of the coronavirus, particularly the role of security agencies during the time of lockdown. So these were the things we were looking at. And interestingly,
first one was on impact
of coronavirus.
That would be economic impact.
Even social. We also looked at social impact of coronavirus.
Yeah, let's speak them one by one. On economic impact of the COVID-19, What did you establish in those communities?
Well, it became clear that many people are suffering as a result of coronavirus. Many people, particularly a man told me at Gidan Zakara that a construction company in this country, I wouldn't want to mention them, sacked over 300 staff. Majority
Must
of
be
them,
one of those big
yes,
construction giants.
majority of them casual workers. Most of them told us that the way they survive is going to work on construction sites. These construction
These are
sites,
daily workers.
yes, these construction sites have since been closed. So what that had done is that it has actually so many persons also complained that they will be sacked in hotel where they work. So what coronavirus has actually done is that it has rendered so many persons jobless, and not.
But it was forecast that there will be job losses, there will be very serious economic impact. Yeah, because Nigeria, just like the rest of Africa, is hinged mainly on economies of people who are regarded as daily paid workers.
Yeah.
And so in a lockdown where there are restrictions of movement, there are restrictions of certain business activities, those were expected. Perhaps the import or the level was probably what was not imagined.
Now, beyond or besides job loss, there is high inflation in the market as regards food item. Right. Now, the drivers who ply the road complain that before they transport goods from wherever to Abuja, they meet a lot of exploitation on the road, particularly during the time of lockdown. Despite
the fact that conveyors of food items were exempted from the lockdown.
Yes. So you now see that it triggered the price of food in the market. And one thing again that is amazing is that in massacre, for instance, it led to predominant child prostitution. Right? It led to child prostitution. What you see is that you see people, it's so bad that even parents will encourage 12, 13, 14-year-old girl to go out for prostitution and make money and bring so that they need to feed the family. Another is that it has also led to increased crime. A policeman in Masaka told me that the majority of arrests made, they tell them, look, we've lost our job, we have nothing to eat, we need to survive. So there's a high crime increase as a result of coronavirus. In short, a woman told me that she only comes to the market to avoid house problem, not because she's actually coming to sell. And her argument is that all the people that buys from all the people that buy from her, they're having problem of economy. They have lost their purchasing
power
has gone. Depleted. So definitely they are doing. She's even selling. You see somebody who tells you that before coronavirus I was making as far as 15,000 naira, but today I can't make any money. Some had even relocated to the village. Right now, the problem again is that, in spite of all this problem, you now see that all of them, except the traditional rulers in this community, did not receive palliative. And what they would tell you is that when they brought the palliatives were taken to the traditional rulers, and the traditional ruler decided to share among his friends and cronies and relatives. So the communities who allege that most of them even say that they just gave it to their people. You get the point? So that is a huge challenge. Now, another thing that has happened, or another thing that happened during this time, is coronavirus lockdown was a boom time for the police to make money. So for the police, it was not stop the coronavirus. It was a boom time to make money.
Yeah, because there are people who will want to violate the lockdown because it's virtually difficult to keep a human being tied down to one spot in 24 hours.
In UK, for instance.
So every violation of the lockdown was opportunity to make money.
In UK, for instance, particularly in Zimbabwe, they told us, everybody that has shop in that place, they contributed 600 naira. That is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's 200. That is everybody contributed 600 naira and gave to the police every week, so that the police will allow them to sell. In Gidan Zakara, for instance, the police used the local vigilante to front and every market day they collect 200 naira from everybody who sells.
But they allow the people
to sell. So if you do not, then your good will be confiscated. In Kabai, for instance, the police were cramming people in a small taxi and taking them to police station. And when they take you to police station, you pay 5,000 or 4,000 naira before you will be allowed. And one of them told us that, look, these guys at Kabai were making at about 50 arrests every day. They would just come and pack everybody and take them to the police. And, it became a boom time for. And one of the women in Kabai, I wouldn't want to mention her name, came out and challenged the police and told them, why are you cramming people inside a small taxi, inside a small car, when you were even supposed to observe social distance? One of the policemen, there were three, one of the policemen wanted to beat the woman, and the woman said, come and beat me. In Masaka, there's a supermarket called Evergreen in Masaka. Policemen collected 15,000 naira from a supermarket to allow her to sell, to allow that supermarket to sell. In another place called Angwa Mission, in Masaka, a small girl who sells beer, police people arrested her and collected 10,000 naira. I am just telling you few instances. I have not even come to the issue of what happened to bike men. As we speak, if you go to Masaka police station, there are so many bikes there that are unclaimed because people couldn't
get the money.
So it was a boom time. Coronavirus, COVID-19 lockdown was a was a big time for police to make money. And we're not even talking in the terms of human rights abuse. You're not even talking in terms of those that were beaten, those that were lynched for one thing or the other. So these are the issues. And we're not even talking in terms of marriages were also dissolved.
This study, let's flip the coin now. Were you able to also establish what we need to do to address? We already know the causatory factors for this. How about addressing the solutions to some of the problems now? First of all, the lockdown has been eased. How do we address the fallout? What lessons did we learn during the lockdown vis-a-vis the problems it created, and how to address them moving forward? For instance, Nigeria is not known to be a welfare state, which was probably why it became very difficult to implement the palliative structure. It was difficult. We didn't have a list of the so-called extremely poor people that exist in Nigeria and how to reach them, where they live. So we just pick a focal person. In most cases, community leaders, like you said, the community leaders collect the palliatives and share to only those whose faces they like or whose names they know. So
okay,
how do we address moving forward situations like that? Shouldn't communities have maybe register of people living in a community and their various status. This person works, this person doesn't work, this person doesn't earn salary, this person is self-employed. So you can easily measure those who are poor, those who are extremely poor, and those who are rich.
Well, it's a difficult thing in a way, but it's an easy thing to do. If the state wants to do it.
Other countries do it. You know people who are not employed, and every month you know what to pay them as social benefit.
Let me tell you what the Nigerian state did. The deficit. When coronavirus came during the time of lockdown, they paid money to people who are on the list of conditional cash transfer that was even there, instituted by Obasanjo, if I'm not mistaken. It had been there. In short, my mom is on that list. She had been collecting the money even before, right from the time of Jonathan. So when coronavirus came, they dusted the list and paid people with the same money they were collecting in condition for conditional tax
that conditional cash transfer. Yes. How regular was it that time?
I think they pay
monthly thing or.
I think they pay every 3 months. Okay. They put the money for them every 3 months and pay them, because I get to know, because my mom is among, and she collects the money she has even collected during the time of lockdown. So what I'm trying to establish is that the monies they claim will be paid as part of coronavirus palliative, where that thing has been running even before the coronavirus came on board. So it's a conditional.
In other words, there was a separate budget
yes.
for the conditional cash transfer, which had been existing before
yes.
COVID.
Whether COVID
so if they were supposed to be paying something on that COVID, it also be in addition to that.
So whether COVID came or not, these women, these poor people were actually being paid this money. Now, how do we solve the problem, which is a fundamental question?